Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still tmosso@thewatchbox.com. That is still my email address. Reach out to me at tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this or any of our watches. Today, we are discussing a 2020 launch. It was actually part of a color-themed series, the Ulysse Nardin Executive Black Blast Tourbillon. This was the Black Blast, a combination of a ceramic bezel and upper case with a titanium lower case with sapphire crystals front and back and a rubber strap. This is an incredibly light watch. 45 millimeters in diameter. It is 13.2 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 54.8 millimeters. The strap integrated to the end of the case does have a little bit of virtual flare, which is to say it adds virtual distance across the wrist because you can't pull it straight down. But I still find because of its souplesse and generally thin, lower profile, it winds up wearing really well. So I believe this actually fits my wrist. I would not wear it on a wrist any smaller than mine, so 16 centimeters circumference or up. It is a flat watch, and it actually nestles down a little bit lower once it's on the wrist and tightened down, and I find that it would easily fit underneath the cuff. That said, this watch is so stark and dramatic. It's like something Charles Xavier or maybe Magneto would wear. And fittingly for Magneto, it does have a full anti-magnetic escapement and silicone hairspring, but this is a very dramatic watch. It does have a sort of Hollywood movie star quality to it. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see it has a little bit of a texture to give it definition. It's faceted to match the facets of the edge of the case. And then on the underside, the UN anchor logo, reminding you that UN, once upon a time, was a world power in marine chronometers or navigation clocks. A little bit more on that in a moment. The evacuation of the underside makes the strap more pliant and flexible. Here we have a buckle, which is a combination of a black ceramic and then internally black titanium. We have this synchronized chassis design that's becoming more common. And what's interesting is that it has a synchronization of both sides because there is a lever arm that acts simultaneously on each side built into the chassis or the base of the clasp. So each side will open and close in sync with the other. And notice I'm not touching that opposite side. The inside is blackened titanium. Again, the outside is scratch-resistant ceramic. And then we have twin trigger release, so you have to press both triggers for this to pop open. It will not open inadvertently by itself. A little bit of clarity about the case. You can see that the upper case, as well as the bezel, they're made of black ceramic. So here we have a combination of satin brushed faceting and polished, but all of this is ceramic. The case itself, the inner canister, that is titanium, which is actually kind of nice because all of this ceramic topside is going to shield the case proper from scratches. Ceramic is extremely scratch resistant, second really only to the sapphire or the watch. So this watch is going to look as good as the day it was made unless you do something catastrophic to it. Taking a look at the crown, you can see it's a combination of media blast and polish with that UN anchor logo. The bezel is fairly nuanced with a satin outer face, a short conical polished facet, and then a circular concentric brushed upper facet that terminates at the crystal. And you can actually see this little red base that sits around the inside of the crystal. A good look. The watch has a dramatic dial that hovers over the movement, and you can actually see straight through it. You see my finger in the background? This is a full open-worked watch. There's a concentric pattern that runs around the hour track. We have these overlapping cantilevered applique indices, and you may be wondering what kind of lume is this dark? Well, it does have lume. I'm going to assure you that, but it is quite faint. Although it looks pretty good on my camera, I can tell you looking at it without the viewfinder, it's a little bit dimmer. So not the brightest, but it does have lume. Down at the base, and by the way, this does look a little bit like a mechanism you would have found on a Girard-Perregaux. Ulysse Nardin and Girard-Perregaux are functionally one company, and GP's combination of a barrel at 12 with a micro rotor and a train leading down to a tourbillon at 6 seems very familiar here. That said, I'm not complaining. This is a super cool watch, and it includes a lot of Ulysse Nardin originals, including an escapement in silicon. So that's both the anchor and the wheel. You can see it's a sort of iridescent purple. It is silicon with, I believe, a synthetic diamond coating, so it operates without lubrication, making this a long-lasting watch in between services. It's usually the escapement that is the limiting factor as a watch's lubrications age. Now, UN makes its own silicon, its own Sigatech, since 2006, making it probably the smallest operation in Switzerland that can make its own silicon. And it doesn't end with the escapement. We also have the hairspring, which reduces the watch's susceptibility to timing variation when temperatures change, either very high or very low. And the hairspring also helps to secure the watch against powerful magnetic fields. Remember, I said this is the magneto watch. So it is a free-sprung balance architecture. It's UN's own balance with recessed bolts, variable inertia, both very resistant to shock and allowing for a super precise adjustment. It also removes the adjustment bolts from the free airstream, which has a small aerodynamic benefit as there's less drag on the balance. It beats away at a stately and attractive 18,000 vibrations per hour. It is a 1-minute tourbillon, so it effectively acts as the seconds hand of the watch. And you can see it's a flying tourbillon with no upper bridge to block your view. It is quite attractive, and the highest grade of finishing you'll find on the watch is actually on this tourbillon carriage assembly itself. Now, when you turn it over, you can see that barrel through the reverse. You can see that this pivots on 25 joules. You can see the X motif is repeated here with a combination of mirrored beveling on its sides and satination across its top. If we turn to the dial side, you can see that micro rotor that I mentioned. You can see it turning over the barrel. And if you look carefully, you can see the latitude and the longitude of Ulysse Nardin's manufacture in Laloc, Switzerland. Now, this automatic winding system endows the watch with a 72-hour power reserve, so you're good to go for 3 days. And the watch has a 50-meter water resistance, so I still consider that to be dress watch style, so splashes and rain only, but it is solidly more than the dress watch standard of 30 meters that prevails throughout the industry. The finishing of the dial is to a high grade, and the watch features a large, open, and visible keyless works mechanism, including the winding pinion, the crown wheel, intermediate wheels of the setting system, the clutch, and the clutch spring, and you can see them in action as I pull the crown out. You can also see underneath my finger there's a little bit of an exposed motion works that shows the mechanism underpinning the operation of the hands. And of course, this is a tourbillon that is both tough and beautiful, as well as being a real chronometric advantage for the watch. This is not merely eye candy. This is a functional tourbillon that makes this a better timekeeper. Reach out if you love this watch. This is Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com, my purchase and pricing email contact for your questions about this or any watch.